Hello everybody, welcome to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you do like my content, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Now for today's video, how can I live it if I don't have it? See, this question points to the obvious answer that is hidden in plain sight. The very reason you can manifest anything, be, do, and have, in a very literal sense. I can be, do, and have anything I can imagine because my imaginational expression of it is the evidence that is the only knowing that is ever required of you to know that I'm already living this life. I obviously cannot, in my 3D physical experience, pretend to be living a life of luxury and abundance when I do not physically have the money on hand. Yes, this is true in that sense, but the 3D world is not what it seems. You see, this kind of question shows the still lingering identification with the 3D world as an objective expression. It assumes the 3D physical self is the real self, while imagination is a separate function of that physical being. If that were actually true, all these expressions and experiences were separate and objective, then nothing would ever come to pass in any kind of meaningful way for your experience that was backtrackable to you as source of it. It would all be very random, and your work output would usually match your gain input to a certain degree. But it does not. You know this. There are people who work endlessly and gain nothing, and others who seem to gain infinitely without doing anything. People who have imagined there and have experienced it differently. They've seen it in their mind's eye as if it were true, and it unfolded unstoppably until it was experienced physically. Think about any great person who achieved their goal. They were unmovable by the 3D voices and people and events and structure and anything that said, you can't do this. And people like Muhammad Ali said, no, I am the double greatest. I am twice as great as I think I am. And you seem to not believe I am, but I am. And he is. That's the whole idea. So there must be an understanding that the 3D world, including your physical self, is new in every moment. It's an expression never before seen and will never be seen again. This very moment right now, once you see it, it's gone. These stories may seem very similar to previous moments, but each one is inherently brand new. You become aware of it only in awareness, because that's the only place it is, not in existence. You see, we think that us becoming aware of something or a new moment or something coming into our awareness means, oh, now it exists. No, your awareness of it is the existence of it. Awareness created it. See, these things seem very solid. Like, you're solid, right? You're solid to yourself. But it is the awareness that is molded itself into a way where it can experience itself as if it were solid. Think about anything, right? If you play a game, any kind of game, you're familiar with the concept. The characters can't walk through the walls usually. Can't walk through the wall. Why? Because to the character in the game, they are having a solid experience of the game's solid beingness. But from the player's point of view, you know I'm not within it, even though I'm playing around in it. The cause of this moment and of the next does not come from the previous three-dimensional moment. The expression of it comes solely from your own awareness. You are living in and as your own reality, expressing others who are also viewpoints of their own reality. continuously unfolding infinite versions of everyone and everything from every single point. Now, understand this. Everything seems to have some sort of crossover and interconnection, but in truth, it's very simple. There are infinite versions of every single person, including yourself. Every interaction, your physical self and another person's physical self already exists. Source as awareness is viewing and is being all of these points simultaneously. And you are one of those viewpoints. Think about a game. Any kind of sport. I meant like game day. Any kind of sport. How many cameras are there filming and recording this moment? How many channels are playing this moment? How many cell phone screens are watching this exact same point? Each one its own unique viewpoint of the moment. Each one having its own experience of the moment. Each person in the stands having their own experience of the moment. Every player is having their own experience of the moment. And they all exist in infinite other ways as well. As one of those viewpoints, you are directly I am. Awareness itself, experiencing this specific viewpoint of now. You have no control over other points of consciousness, and they have no control over you, because none of those viewpoints change what already exists. Just like how you are watching that same game, whatever match is playing, how many people are watching, whatever they think, whatever they not think, however they feel, whatever they don't feel, however loud they shout or scream or kick and whatever else, they don't change the outcome of the game. None of that stuff matters. It's only a viewpoint. That is exactly what you are as source. A viewpoint viewing what you yourself are being, without the ability, because you don't actually want to, change it. You come here with that pre-expression done. You cannot change reality. You can only change your experiencing of reality, because whatever you desire to be experiencing already exists anyway. So if every reality already exists in its entirety, then you don't have to change anything. So changing it actually becomes pointless and a waste of your own time, because you couldn't do it anyway. Each version, whether you put on a red shirt or blue shirt, it's a completely different reality. Seeing one does not erase the other. What you are aware of in awareness is literally reality. When you're experiencing it, you are putting a light on it, and you are putting a light on yourself being it. Now in this drawing that I mocked up, this is how it looks. You're having this expression, the one in the corner. You're feeling sad, you're at your computer, you believe you have some sort of past, you have some sort of future, and in that frame, in that script, that past and that future are looking very similar to what you are experiencing right now. Sad, boredom, alone, don't have the money, don't have wealth. How do I live my desired dream life? And that keeps going on, asking endlessly, how do I live my dream life? And that's what you, as I'm awareness, are focused on. It's what you are imagining as if it were true. It doesn't matter if you're experiencing it moment to moment in the three-dimensional physical expression of yourself as reality, because it is not reality. It doesn't have a will of its own, and nothing that is expressed expresses more of itself. You are the one that expresses more of yourself. So you are imagining that version of yourself as if it were true. I'm not saying it's not happening as an experience. Yes, as an experience. You look at your bank account and there's nothing there. You go to the store, you want to buy something, you can't pay for it. You cannot pretend to go to the store, to pretend to buy something and then pretend that, oh, I bought it and I'm going to go back home because this is the life I choose to be living. No, because you know you are pretending. You have accepted, I am pretending to do this in the hopes it'll make something happen. It doesn't work like that. You're just going to experience more pretending. As consciousness, even if your frame is looking just like that in this three-dimensional moment of right now, Accept that it is only one story that you can be aware of. Then be aware of a story that you actually want to live, and live that story as awareness in your imagination, playing out exactly whatever it was you desired to be playing out. Go to the store in your imagination, pick the things out that you want to buy, pick everything, buy it. That's you living that life. That is you being that identity. You are being that actual brand new in awareness to yourself world right then and there. And then no matter what the 3D physical point of view looks like, it's always rearranging itself. But now what it's rearranging itself into is that version of yourself that has the money with whatever past and whatever future seems applicable via your higher self for it to make sense for you to experience that you. Because now you know, even if you experience yourself sitting at your computer thinking about all of these things, you know that you've chosen an identity. So no matter what must be going on, that's the identity that must be playing out. So when you recognize yourself as awareness, living as the 3D projection of you, you can remember yourself as living any life, because you've always done that. The 3D world becomes irrelevant in determining whether you are experiencing that life now. Imagination, that inner movement of experiencing another version of yourself, is the same awareness perceiving from another point. Even in your 3D physical life experience, you're not actually living in poor conditions. They only appear momentarily in frames of awareness. You don't sit around all day thinking, I can't pay for my shopping. That condition only really arises in that specific moment, when you actually pick up something you can't buy and feel the experience of, I am not wealthy. After that, the moment kind of just passes back into potential. You remember that frame as if it was a continuous fact of reality. I am not wealthy, because you experienced it once, but that frame is now gone. In the next moment, you may think, but I still don't have the money on me. Now you are reliving that same reality in imagination as if it were true. You can accept that this is the current experience of reality. It doesn't mean you agree that this is who I am. You know who you are. You know who you say you are, which is why you can disagree with something unfolding in the way that it did, but you can also accept that it comes from you anyway. Creating a fictional idea of yourself by thinking, I can't pay for these things. So you create this something that doesn't exist and deciding you can't afford it, because that's all happening in imagination. Even when you are sitting right there and then, you are saying, that thing that I'm imagining right now, I don't physically have the money to pay for it. So you're creating an imaginational scene that you believe in. It is an experience of reality. It is an experience of reality. But you can consciously choose to imagine how you would prefer it and accept as awareness, I am that. You are unconsciously moving through varying states of I am and I am not in its many forms, and there are infinite forms of it. So move and decide, I am who I desire to be. And allow yourself to experience that experience, because it is just as real. It is just as real. In fact, it is reality. When you as imagination, when you as your highest self, when you as consciousness, when you as awareness, when you as God recognize that I am God. So whatsoever I'm imagining must be happening right now as my experiencing of life. And you know you are experiencing it happening right now, because it's now. So these feelings and memories are real experiences. But any feeling or remembering is also a real experience. Otherwise, you couldn't actually experience it. And as awareness, you can revise it knowing that every possibility simply exists. That is the kingdom of God. And choose consciously among it. Decide, I am living the life I imagine, where I am wealthy, regardless of conditions, of circumstances, or of appearances. Imagine yourself in that choice you preferred. Imagine yourself in that choice that you simply prefer. I prefer this. Your preferred state of being, regardless of anything else. That is living in the end. You as awareness experience that life right now in imagination, in the assumption that it is reality, and that is reality now. Remember, the 3D does not have a mind of its own. It doesn't come from itself. It doesn't come from previous expressions. It comes from you and you alone. From who and what you accept and decide yourself to be in this moment. And from how you consciously choose to remember your life experiences regardless of what happens in the 3D world. How are you choosing to remember it? Because it just exists right now. You went to the store 5 minutes ago. That happened now. In this eternal moment of now. And you can remember, I went to the store 5 minutes ago and I bought to my heart's content. I accept that is who I am. Knowing it can't prevent anything. You simply imagine, assume, accept who you are, that I am this, and move in the knowing I am who I say I am. And I am your host, Reese. This is your reality with Reese. Thank you all for being here so much. For your comments, questions, shares, likes, and subscriptions. Feel free to drop a question in the comment section or send me an email anytime. Thank you for joining the TikTok page. Thank you for joining the Facebook group. Love and light, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.